Hi, I'm here at the Siskiyou Media Council in Wheat, California. We're in the Alvarado building, and we're usually here on Sundays because that way there's no noise in the building. We'd really like to invite you to get involved. We have a Siskiyou Media Council website, and it's siskiyouMediaCouncil.org, is that right? And so I like to invite you, you're watching MCTV 15, but we also show in Wairika, YCTV4, and that's the Siskiyou Media Council. So if you'd like to join us on Facebook or YouTube, like my show is on YouTube. So if you miss it, each month I try and come in and do a show. So if you've been watching for years, you know I used to be About Town, and then I was Tough Times. I used to interview Dr. Parker every month. And now because of COVID, I've kind of changed over and I call it These Times. So Therese Swenson is About Town and These Times. But in Oregon, in Southern Oregon at the university, we have the Southern Oregon University has a digital media center. So I've also been doing shows up there for 10 years. And I want to just share with you their website in case you want to look them up. But they have a real interesting programming block. And they have so many more producers. They're able to fill it up with arts and culture, well-being and lifestyle. They have a cooking class with Kamud. They have, of course, a lot of the public access stations show Democracy Now! It's usually at 4 o'clock on here. And they have music and news and politics. They have shows where they have two girls that interview each other. Can't remember what they're called. They have a cute name. Anyway, I do public access television in Southern Oregon and Northern California. Now today, I started out calling this Summer Art because I want to introduce you to an artist that you may or may not have met yet. I have some pictures. We had trouble downloading them. It took so long, so I'm going to kind of go with the flow when the pictures are running. But I have an article that I'm going to read a little bit to you about Tom O'Hara. And he has an art show, and it's in Dunsmuir, California. Now, when you drive to Dunsmuir, if you take the first off-ramp off the freeway and you drive into town, you will come by the Dunsmuir Hardware. And the Dunsmuir Hardware is a logo that Tom O'Hara, oh good, we got it. And that is a logo that he did that it was the wrong time of day when I took the picture, but it's got a wonderful, I don't know if you can see it better on your TV, a big elk or something. And that logo, Tom O'Hara is famous for doing beautiful art logos in our town. And that's the hardware store. And just next to it is the art store. It's called Siskiyou Arts Museum. And you can't see that very well, but when I got up to the front door, I think I got a better picture of the front door showing the name of the Arts Museum. We call it SAM. So it's kind of the Siskiyou Arts, what's it? The Siskiyou Arts, I can't remember, I can see it on there. The front door, if I go to the front door, I can see the name, Museum. And it's a wonderful museum if you come. It's not just this art show that I'm doing today, but Tom O'Hara had a poster on the door. Did we find that? Oh, okay. So this is what it looks like if you're on the main street. This is the art gallery. And when you go through the front door, they have many things like pottery and handmade sewn objects and clay and some postcards and jewelry. So the front of the museum and gallery has a lot of different craftsmen from the local area. But from what you can see from the front, we're going to go in and there's an art room that I was able to take some pictures of Tom's art. And this is my favorite, of course. And this is a story that he wrote about Rex Reeds. And everywhere he goes, this darling little man would leave books. So this is part of the story. But what I want you to look at with this picture is that the jacket looks like gold because Tom O'Hara, I'm going to read a little to you about him, but Tom O'Hara took an art class and he worked, one of his first work in doing art was in England. He did work with Disney animation, and he learned how to make colors pop. Like if you look at this, the way the greens and the white and the jacket, it's really just brown paint on those squares on the jacket. But I thought it looked like gold leaf. Now, Tom O'Hara died 2 years ago, but he has a very strong presence in our area because he's done so many signs. If you drive into Mount Shasta, you'll see the Berryvale Grocery. I wasn't able to bring those pictures today, but that's an important piece of his artwork because it's a huge building that looks kind of like several buildings. He made it look like apartment houses, and he put windows up in them where it looks like he painted a window on a wall. And then next to it is a real window. So if you're in Mount Shasta next to the post office, I want you to be sure and look at the Berryvale Grocery. If you go online, I'm sure they have pictures. They have a really neat little cafe in there, and Tom did on the wall for each table where you're sitting a wonderful, okay, so he has one like the Garden of Eden, a beautiful painting. And then at the next table it says, Dragon Farts Incense. And then the next one is Barely Veiled Lingerie. And then, what's the next one? So he does really neat art pieces around town as well as being a brilliant artist. So I'm going to read a little, and I think we do have a few pictures, huh? Do we? So, oh good. This is Thelonious Monk. It's one of my favorites. And you can't see it in this picture, but I thought he did a humorous thing in the corner. If you see this picture live. Oh, I want to remind you that this art show that I'm showing you now is through the month of June until July. So if you can get to Dunsmuir, the Siskiyou Art Museum, please make a plan to go there. And you know what? You have no excuse because through the month of June, the stage local bus is free. So you can look at the schedule and come on down to Dunsmuir on the bus. The stage is free to ride for the month of June. You need to know that because you can go anywhere in the county. Let's say you like to have a couple beers. You could go out to Etna. And there's some wonderful artists out there in Etna at the brewery and in Fort Jones. So you could actually do your own little tour, like if you have time or a week off, you could get on and go one direction or another. They have several routes. They go over to McLeod and they go through the valley to Etna. Oh, I don't know if they go all the way to Callahan because I haven't looked at the schedule lately. But please come to the Dunsmuir Museum and see this art show that I'm going to show you. Tom O'Hara, there's much more to his legacy. I want to tell you about, he's a brilliant artist and a Renaissance man. So we have more pictures. When he moved to Mount Shasta in the early 70s, he lived in a teepee while his house was being built, and he supported himself with commercial sign painting. So you will see the laundromat in Mount Shasta, or if you go to the Ace Hardware, he did a beautiful mural about John Muir, where he talks about coming to Mount Shasta and the water tastes like wine. So I don't know what other pictures. I had several of the musicians, and I had the front door of the museum. This is good. This is, what's dynamic about this is this picture is really big. It's like 3 by 4 feet. And when you come into the room, it's all darkened and it lights up just on the musicians and the faces of the musicians. This is an incredible orchestra picture. There's several pictures that he did as I'm telling you about him, but I think we put now this is about let me tell you who this is. This is Owen Wister, I think, and he's the author of The Virginian. And Tom O'Hara did a lot of Western type art, but Wister is credited with originating the cowboy archetype in Western literature. So Tom O'Hara did some other cowboy pictures that I'm not sure what we were able to download. It took us a long time to get these pictures because they were so much brushstrokes and digital data. So I'm not sure if we got another one of the cowboy series he did, where he did a ink sketch and then he painted it. And I was thinking I got both of those. But he had many talents, but really visual art was his first and lasting love. It was in the 80s that he got his first paying job as an artist and an animator for Disney. Do we have some other pictures of Tom? I didn't know what we got. I thought we could just run them. Now this shows some of his erotic art. I didn't get any pictures of the ladies, but he has some of ladies. Right next to it is a wonderful sculpture. I'm not sure if we, that. Let me tell you about this. This looks like it's made from a cut off, what's a palm tree? And then what's wonderful is the mustache and the beard is made out of cardboard. If you could see this up close, it's such an inspiration. He did these kind of puppets and things for Julie. Now this is about the book that he wrote with Julie. Listen to this for a minute. His marriage to Julie Bennett was a creative partnership. He was a skilled tailor who designed and made dance costumes for Bennett. The two of them collaborated on a lavishly illustrated children's book. And I don't know if we got a picture of the little guy in the car, but that little clay sculpture I showed you, I should have read the book my kids had the book many years ago, but that little fellow is in a car and he's going along and distributing books. And Rex Reads is the name of the book, if we got the front of the book. And there's just excellent artwork in there. We kind of had a wall of the artwork. I don't know if we got that one. We might be having trouble uploading these to show you. So he had a series of musicians, horn players. Who did I tell you was Stevie Ray Vaughan? I don't know if we have that artist wall to put up. We had that picture. I tried to take pictures like in groupings so you could see more than one, but I'm really trying to encourage you to come to Dunsmuir. We have wonderful little restaurants, a pizza parlor. You can walk downtown. We have a park. I'm not sure. I think the pool opens this week. We have a swimming pool. You could put your kids on the stage and ride for free. Come to Dunsmuir, drop the kids off at the pool, and you could walk downtown. Might be about a mile. You can also this time of year put your bike on the front of the bus. So keep that in mind if you want to ride the stage. I should have had a logo for you. Do we have more pictures for the art studio? When Tom first came to town, he had kind of this is his picture. Oh, it's kind of dark. He did this at the library. From my TV, it looks very dark, but when you walk in the Mount Shasta Library, he did this beautiful welcome sign with the world. And it's really beautiful. His artwork is everywhere. If you're in Wairika, it's on the resource. There's a beautiful mural on the resource center that shows kind of a summer in the park with art. Kind of everybody is dancing and music and sewing together. And I'm not sure if they're shearing that sheep. I can't remember. But so he had, I don't know if you remember, but he had a stage door was on the main street, was his own live music venue. And he featured a lot of talent local, but also performing traveling artists that travel between San Francisco up to Portland that stop in all the cities and play. He used to have a lot of them come play, but it came to be, it was the competition from other venues and the recession, he had to close it, but also listening to music licensing wanted you to pay a stiff fee. Like if you go in a market or something and you notice it's always the same music loop, because there was a time when you wanted to listen to the radio, you paid a fee to tune into stations so that the artists got paid. I don't know now. Artists get paid because of their social media hits and people subscribing and purchasing their music from social media. But anyway, Tom O'Hara, he also designed building interiors. That's what's with whimsical and false storefronts. That's what you'll see at the Berryvale Grocery in the cafe. Anyway, he died in 2020 at the age of 76. And what he died of was glioblastoma. And it's like an octopus on your brain. It's a tumor that is aggressive form of brain cancer. He loved art, music, and he loved Mount Shasta, said Julie, talking about his life. And she said he did have a softer side. Everybody saw him, he was kind of stern and austere, but he really had a great sense of humor and he was quite fun. So this magazine, if you look up Enjoy Magazine, it is the May issue and it's put out in Reading and it's in all of our local community stores and shops, and it has a lot of advertising and it tells you what to do and where to go and how to be a tourist in your own town. Actually, I don't know how much time I have right now, but I like to remind you to be a tourist in your own town. And on my last show, I talked to you about Castle Craig State Park. That's our lowest point of Siskiyou County. And the Castle Craig State Park, you can camp overnight, you can bring in a camper, you can hike all the way up to a point where you see pictures from 3 different directions. And so anyway, I want to invite you that state parks, if you're worried about the fee, check with your local library. I told you this on my last show, that the library allows you to use your library card to get a 3-week pass so you can go around to the different state parks. So check that out. Call your library, ask about that, because you can save money. I think it's $8, and I don't know if it's a person or a car, but if you go to Castle Craig's and you have your library pass, you can get in for free and go for a walk and take a picnic. And if you have somebody that can't do a lot of walking, but they still want to get to the top and see the views of the mountain and the crags and across the canyon over Soda Creek, you can drive pretty far up and it's just a short little walk around to the viewpoint. So also I like to, the Shasta Rail Trail, it links the town of McLeod and Bernie. And I want to tell you about this. Look this up, Great Shasta Rail Trail. And this is 80 miles of trails. Like if you like to put your bike in the car or if you want to hike, this would be something to do. We're all looking for places to go in the outdoors. There's also the brochure I brought today, Volcanic Legacy Scenic Byway. So I encourage you to go into your local Chamber of Commerce where they have gobs of maps and things. You can choose, you can take them home and study them and decide what you want to do. You might only want to do a part of a hike. But if you're in Mount Shasta, there's a museum in Mount Shasta that's called, it's at the fish hatchery. I think it's just called the Sisson Museum. And it's wonderful too. So if you come up to Mount Shasta or if you're in Wairika and you ride the stage down, I think you can get off somewhere to get to the fish hatchery and go to that museum. And you can also bring kids to see how fish are they spawned? And then all of the fish that are raised there are put in all the lakes and streams. So it's a good education for kids to understand that we feed the lakes and streams with fish for people to do as a recreation. So the fish hatchery is a great place. The other thing I noticed in the paper this week, now this is June, and we don't have our fair until August, but our fair is August 10th through the 14th. Wednesday, the first night when everybody's getting set up and all the kids are getting their animals in, if you want to come and see cows and pigs and goats and chickens and rabbits and every kind of critter. You can bring your kids on Wednesday. That's the least, is it free on Sunday? It might be free on Sunday. But anyway, did I have a phone number? So if you want to call and ask questions at the fairgrounds, they're open to answer questions because there's an exhibitor's handbook is ready to be given out. Have you ever just wanted to make one of your quilts and show it at the fair? Or if you're really growing a beautiful garden and you have the biggest pumpkin or the biggest tomato, by August, you can enter into the exhibit and just show your stuff, and we can show all the things that are raised here. Now, a lot of the groups that get involved are 4-H and FFA, and different groups of, I think the school groups do different booths and things. So I want to encourage you to go to the county fair even though it's old-fashioned and you think, oh, my kids are all grown up, it's still a good idea to go and support the community and have lunch there. I called and said, what healthy food do you have? Do you have baked potatoes? And they said, Yaks. Jacks is a girls' baseball team, and they're going to have baked potatoes this year. So the Siskiyou Golden Fair is accepting entries for businesses, like if you want to set up a booth, clubs and other people. And if you want to exhibit at the fair, it's from August 10th to the 14th. Now, if you want to enter into, you have to let them know by July 22nd for exhibiting things. Probably should call and double check that. The address for the fair is 1712 Fair Lane Road in Wairika. Now, that's in August, so you would have to pay to use the stage during the week to get there. But I'm sure they're going to have extra runs, so we need to find out about that before my next show. Okay, so I wanted to tell you about the county fair. Now, on my last show, I talked about voting, and it's still important that I talk about voting, even though my show will run after voting, because we'll be voting next week. But we're getting ready to vote again in like 12 weeks, 16 weeks in the fall, November, maybe longer than that. So I want to make sure you're registered to vote. That's what's important to me. I don't care what party you want to vote in. I just want to make sure that you got a sample ballot, because we in Siskiyou County, I'm not sure the whole state of California, received a sample ballot. And even though it's a little bit overwhelming, when you look at this booklet about all the people and everything, if you're not sure who you want to vote, you can just thumb through this and read a little bit about, even if you just want to read about the Democratic candidates or the Republican candidates, it has a lot of information. Now, in the old days when I went to college, I remember whenever it was voting time in '68, we would all get together and talk about the ballot, and we'd go over it. Nowadays, I notice a lot of people might just be a single issue. They just go vote for president or governor or something. But I think it's really important that we all educate ourselves and we get involved. I mean, what was it? Sean Malee wrote a great letter to the editor, and he said, citizen is not just a verb. We all have a responsibility. So I have my ballot all ready to go. I have a little tickle. And you have to be sure and put your address. I guess I don't want to show you my address. And sign it and date it. Okay, so you can drop it off at the, where is the Wairika clerk's office? 311 4th Street. If you live in Siskiyou County, you can leave it off at 311 4th Street. Now, if my show is shown in Ashland and Medford, you're all mail-in. You never have an issue about trying to get your ballot in. So, but here, I just want you to know, we have many polling places coming up. So I'm sure people will be able to fill out their ballot in advance of an election and take it to the polling place. I mean, you can mail it if it's post-dated, or you can turn it in at the polling place. So anyway, I just want to remind you, make sure you received your ballot. And if you didn't, I would like you to call and make sure you're on the roster or go online and check. But let's all be registered to vote. I just like to remind people that freedom isn't free. And we kind of all feel like there's an unequal America. I even think the people that have gone into this QAnon and this other conspiracy theories, I think that they all feel the fact that we have an unequal America. I mean, it just seems like there's fewer and fewer very wealthy people, and they know how to play the tax game, so they don't even pay taxes. And all of us are paying our taxes, and then all of a sudden the government wants to be involved in a military game of might, and all of a sudden they can pull off billions of dollars for war and weapons and equipment. Why can't we spend billions of dollars on humanitarian aid? Why can't we spend billions of dollars to take over, Davos, Switzerland or something, and invite all of these generals and people that are fighting this war and come to an agreement where we're going to create a border and they're going to allow all of the countries that are warring. We really have way too many wars and we're taking it for granted. We're into 3 months now. Not one more minute should pass where we're destroying things that people have built for years, whether it's cultural centers, schools, churches. So I think everybody's discouraged and they want change. But I want to remind you to run for what? When I talked to you about your ballot and voting down ballot, I noticed on my ballot, we don't even have challengers. One of the boxes, I already sealed it. There wasn't even a name in there to choose somebody. So by November, you have an opportunity to challenge someone that is unopposed, like the sheriff. He's unopposed. Or the auditor. She's unopposed. So the point is, you could think you might be qualified to run for a position. So please look at your ballot and see if you want to get involved, because we need people of all thinking to be representing us. And we need to start at the local levels. You've seen how teachers have been threatened about what they're teaching. You've seen how a year ago everybody was so upset about masks that we had provocateurs coming and disrupting school board meetings. I don't want to lose the wonderful teachers we have that don't want to have to defend that they're teaching what they love teaching. I know recently we've had some really heartbreaking events. I don't really want to go into that, but what I want to say is I don't think teachers need to be armed. I do believe we have mental health problems, and I don't think it's doors, if I can just say that, if anybody knows what I'm talking about. I do think we need to have background checks and people that are red flagged for being violent. So that brings up my reason for talking to you about voters are needed. We really need to vote for people. What was it I wrote? I said, if you're, wait a minute, our words are our weapons. It wasn't what I wanted to say. Every election counts. Citizenship, I write myself notes, is what you can do. You can vote. And it's the right of the people to keep and bear arms. I don't in any way disagree with, I was going to talk today about, but I don't have time. I see I only have 2 minutes. I was going to talk to you about the Second Amendment, but I don't have time. But I want to say this quote to you. The measure of success of a civilized nation is not the currency that's accumulated by the few. The measure of success is our communities, how we help each other. And I think I really only have 2 minutes left. So just remember that there's a power of the pen, and you can write letters or emails, or you can call your representative at 202-224-3121. Be informed, because that gives us power. Freedom isn't free, and you can make a difference. Now, if you want to call the White House direct, I'd love to give you this number. This is the White House direct, 202-456-1414. Please tell them what you think. Please tell them that you want peace and not war. Please tell them that misinformation is killing people and you really want to put in your vote. You know, you can call your senator and tell him how you want to vote, but you can also call the White House, 202-456-1414. So thanks for joining me today. My name's Therese Swenson. I wanted to introduce you to Tom O'Hara, and I want to remind you that every day is a new day, and you have a new opportunity. So accept the things you're powerless about and see what you can do on the things that you can make a difference. I didn't get to talk to you about food and all these other things, but thanks for joining me, Therese Swenson. My show's on Monday evenings and Saturday noon, and sometimes they fill a space with it. Thanks for joining me. Be sure and ride the stage.